Hey folks, it's Dylan here. Welcome back to Eat Wild. Now in this video, we're going to talk about my hunting day kit, what goes into it, and how I organize it. Now over the years, I've used all of these pieces of equipment at one time or another to have a successful hunt and also stay out of sticky situations. So while there might be a number of things here and while there might be a bit of extra weight, I think it's worthwhile investing in bringing this stuff with you on any hunt. Now the stuff here, we're going to talk about how to organize it, why it's important. This is what I would take on a day hunt. Now, if on a multi-day hunt, I would take all of this equipment plus my overnight gear as well. We've covered off overnight gear in other Eat Wild videos. So let's get into it. So all of this stuff here is listed on the Eat Wild app. And if you haven't already downloaded it, it's a free app. It gives you access to all the Eat Wild videos while you're offline hunting in the field, as well as these handy gear lists for, well, day hunts like this or multi-day hunts, or even, backpacker, jet boat, or raft hunts. There's some great information there, so check it out. But for this video, I'm going to start with talking about the essential items that I want to have the easiest access to and while I'm on the hunt. So I'm just going to take you over here and I talk about, first of all, my phone has become a essential tool for every hunt. I use it for navigation, taking photos. So I need to have really good access to it. So this is going to be a pocket item. It's going to be in one of my pockets I have high access to because I'm going to look at it multi times a day for navigation and for other purposes, even communication and texting with other hunting partners. I'll always have a couple of lighters available in my pocket as well. These are great for figuring out which wind direction is happening. Of course, it's great to have a lighter handy to start a fire if you need to. My clip and ammunition, I'm going to have that available in one of my pockets and very handy. I'm going to have a compass in my pocket, and that way I can be oriented as to the direction I'm going and how to get back to the truck or camp. I want to have it available so I look at it and use it often. I'm going to have my camp knife with me, and this is for cutting rope, working around camp, getting in and out of packages, whatever it might be. But having a camp knife that's clipped to your pants is essential for me. Now, I also probably gonna have some type of a call with me if I'm deer hunting, maybe this little deer call, or if I'm elk hunting, having obviously more of a set of calls. But they're gonna be kind of on the outside of me in my pockets, available for easy access and quick use. The next piece I want to look at is some of the things that I'm going to have in some of the in a pack here like this, having available on the top pockets or the outside pockets or even the hip pocket here on the outside. For example, my rangefinder, while I don't often use it, I use it ideally once or twice a trip if I am able to find an animal that I'm ranging and contemplating shooting. This will go into the hip pocket, so it's highly accessible, maybe even attached to my bino harness as well. The tools like my inReach or my GPS, in this case I basically would only use this inReach mini now because I'm able to integrate it with my phone, and I'm going to have it clipped to the outside of my bino harness or available in the top of my pack. Now, because this is an essential device for my safety, I'm going to make sure that whatever I have it clipped on there so it's absolutely secure and there's no chance of losing this because it's essential for my safety. Radios, these are important for staying in touch with your hunting partner throughout the day. Now, we set check-in time, so 10 o'clock, noon to check in. So we don't have these on all the time because they do make a lot of noise and they can interrupt your hunt, as well as you want to save your battery life. So by just setting check-in times and using them as at intervals throughout the day, you are able to achieve both of those things. When I pack them away, I often take the antenna off, and sometimes I even remove the battery because I want to avoid having the radio turn on in my pack and run down the battery when I'm using it as a safety device. But this way the antenna won't break if you can put it in your pack and put it in a pocket that's accessible. I also have something called a lens pen or some type of lens care for your binoculars for brushing off the lenses or wiping them off. You can use a clean cloth as well, but that's what I use as a lens pen. The next piece I want to talk about is some of the stuff that I have sort of buried in the bottom of my pack that I use during emergency situations or safety situations. So this is what we call what Rob calls his "oh shit" kit, which is like, I've got a problem, I gotta sort myself out. So usually in a small mesh bag, something like this, I'll have this gear packed up, and I'll show you what I got here. I got an extra tow rope for managing or towing a deer or potentially building a shelter. I've got a emergency space blanket. These blankets fold out quite large, and they'll create an impervious layer between you and the rain. They'll also reflect heat back towards your body, so they're very good for an emergency situation as a bit of a barrier to the elements. I've got here, which is a sewing kit, a little bit of Gorilla tape, or gear tape, I should say, and this is just for patching, say, your rain gear or sewing up a piece of gear. It's so light that I don't necessarily need this for a day hunt, but I typically just have it in my bottom of my kit for multi-day hunts, and I don't take it out. Now, I'm a big fan of bringing electrical tape with me. The reason why I like it is that it doubles as first aid tape. It's stretchy, so you can wrap and you can wrap it and stop the bleed like that. You can use it to manage a splint on a leg, or you can use it for stuff like patching or covering the end of your barrel, which is handy. And even here's another fix here. My my swivels are making noise, so I just wrapped a bit of tape around it. So it seems that I use this tape an awful lot while in hunting camp. Okay, what else I got here? I got my fire starting kit that goes in that bag. So I don't really start a fire every day when I'm hunting, but if I do, then I've got my candle and my lighter. I got a couple lighters because that's an essential for safety for me. I've got a little bit of what we call duct tape, super tough tape here, and that's great for patching stuff, and also if you need it in the first aid situation. I always bring a bit of flagging tape. I've got a roll of flagging tape if to mark an animal or kill site with lots of flagging tape. I'll also have just a little bit in my pocket available, particularly if I've taken a shot at an animal. I can mark the location that I shot from quickly and easily without having to dig in my pack and get this. But it's critical to have a roll or half a roll like that with me. Now, if you're going to rely on your iPhone or other to navigate or to communicate, always bring a battery, an extra battery, and be able to charge it in the field. So you can rely on your phone, but you need to have that backup battery ready to go. Of course, a little bit of backup toilet paper is something I would have in my kit. Probably have a little bit in the top pocket as well, just for your necessaries. The other thing in my kit is I've got a headlamp, and this headlamp is I'll show you one thing I've done here is that typically I'll put brand new batteries in this headlamp, and I'll actually put them in the wrong way, so that this will not go on accidentally if I accidentally press this button. So the idea is, if I need it, I turn this battery around. Now it's ready to go, and I can rely on this to be have a full charge when I need it. And this is my backup safety headlamp that's going to be in the bottom of my pack. Now, likely I'll have another headlamp. I will have another headlamp that I use for around camp, and that one will be in the top of my pack, and I don't have to worry about running down the batteries on it because I know I've got my backup with fresh batteries in the bottom. Last thing I've got is my whistle. Now, a whistle is critical if you ever get lost. You want to be whistling to draw attention to yourself, let people know where you are. It's a lot more effective than trying to yell. Okay, now it's important to think about first aid and treatment if you have an accident in the woods, a bleed or a broken bone. Now, certainly I would encourage anybody to bring a first aid kit with them. In my experience though, I'm able to put the essentials from that first aid kit into a smaller package that's more applicable to the type of needs that I have on a day trip. And so I've made my own first aid kit that really has a handful of band-aids, has some antiseptic, has a bandage for a compression bandage. So those are the keys for me, coupled with my tape. I feel like I can manage most first aid situations that I could come across while on a hunt. But encourage you to either bring a whole one or do a good job and do some research and figure out what you need for your own kit. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the what we call the kill kit, and those are the things that you need if you have an animal to deal with. Now, I like these Havalon replaceable blade knives. They're very useful for skinning an animal out, cutting through hide. you can replace the blades as you go, so they stay nice and sharp. So I definitely have one of those in my kit, and they're very light. However, I really do appreciate having a knife like this with a flexible blade. This is ideal for deboning an animal, working around bones on a bigger animal. So I'll bring a knife like this with a flexible blade, a deboning knife. Um, and I'll also bring a way of sharpening that knife, because on a big animal like a moose or an elk, you really want to maintain a sharp blade. And a couple passes with this blade over this pull-to sharpener will make a much easier job. So these three tools are essential for me. I'm dealing with a bigger animal. On a deer, if I'm just going to go up the mountain and shoot a deer and drag it down, I mean, I could probably get away with my pocket knife just for gutting the animal. But for breaking down an animal, I want these tools. Of course, I'm going to have some tow rope available for towing an animal down the hill. That's essential for me. Now, I'm going to have a couple of clear plastic garbage bags. Now, these can be used as either a tarp for a surface area to keep them, as the meat comes off the animal, you can keep it clean, or you can put the meat right in it and then back into the pack. And that way, as you're transporting the meat from the field back to the meat pull or the truck, you can keep the meat clean and then get this plastic off of the meat and then into game bags as soon as you can. But for transportation, it'll keep it nice and clean. So for me, this is my essential kill kit stuff. You can also use a dry bag instead of a plastic bag to keep the meat. You'll be able to transport the meat easily inside of a backpack using a dry bag, which you can wash out after. So these are great tools for that. The last couple things I want to show you is now one of the most important parts about being safe is that there is a chance you're going to get caught out in the elements, and you're going to need to stay warm, dry, and that way you can ride out any emergency situation if you're, say, lost in the forest or injured and you have to wait for somebody to come find you or help you. So what you need for that, a couple simple ones, is a toque, a big warm toque. That doesn't weigh a lot, and that toque will keep heat from leaving your body. You lose the majority of your body heat from your head and your hands. So I invest a little bit of my pack space to have warm gloves and a toque, because usually you're hunting in the fall or close to the winter and they've got cold temperatures. The other thing I'll invest in, which I love, is having a down jacket. So typically when I'm hunting, I'm moving around a lot. So I'm actually wearing something closer to this, where I can hike comfortably, move around comfortably. But then when I stop, I'm going to be cold quickly. So having a down outer layer that packs up to be fairly small. This will pack into a size like that, which is I'm willing to give up that much space in my pack to have this warmth in my pack. The other thing that's critical about this is if I wear this with my rain shell over top, I feel like I can ride out most weather for a long period of time, stay warm, stay comfortable, and stay safe. So of course, rain gear is essential. So this is my pants and my jacket that'll roll up, and I'll have those accessible in my pack. Now for rain gear, I typically leave it on the outside of my pack here, so I can have access to it. If the rain starts, I can easily get into my pack, throw my jacket on, and have access to it. Now whether it's a day like today, I didn't need to wear my gators, but on a lot of days like today, it could start raining, and as soon as all this brush is wet, I don't want to get my legs wet and then eventually my boots wet. So I'll bring my gators with me. I'll throw them in the bottom of the pack. If the rain comes, I'm ready to put the gators on. And if there's lots of rain, I'll put my shell pants over top, as well as my jacket. And that'll keep me from getting wet. On any of these hunts, you don't want to get wet. You got to take precautions by having the rain gear ready to go to keep your layers dry underneath. The last thing I bring, and this is something I forgot to bring on one of our day trips into sheep country, and we got hammered as a result. But this is a sill tarp. It weighs 1 pound, and I love having this as a backup safety plan. This is basically my emergency shelter / waiting out a rainstorm tarp. So I can set this tarp up. Now this tarp will have a bunch of strings already tied up to the corners. I can string this up between a couple of trees in a few minutes, and then I have somewhere to hide out and wait out a storm. Or if I'm stuck waiting for help to come and I'm injured or lost, I can string this up, have a nice warm place to sit and stay out of the rain and wait. And meanwhile, I'll probably get started on building a fire with my fire building kit and I'll be safe and waiting. And maybe I'll send a message out on my messenger to let people know where I am and get in touch with my crew on the radio, and giving myself every opportunity to be safe. The last thing you might want to consider is your optics and what you're bringing for optics. I bring a spotting scope with me on most of my hunts because I love to sit and watch. So that typically is going to go on the outside of my pack because I need to get access to it regularly when I'm on a hunt. Probably the last thing is my bear spray. I bring my bear spray whenever I'm in bear country. The most important part about bear spray is that it is in a position that you can use it. So I really love attaching my bear spray to my bino harness. I'm almost always wearing my bino harness, so I feel like this is a good place for it to be, where I can action it right from its location if a bear is coming at me. So incredibly important. I've also had it in this pocket down here. If you ever take your bino harness out, you still have access to it and ready and available in an emergency. And then last thing, of course, is binoculars. Having access to them is important because I will encourage you to use your binoculars all the time while you hunt. So yeah, that's what I do in my kit, and hopefully that take away a few things from this. And I'll just give you some shots of how I pack things up, and hopefully you'll have a fun, safe hunt and be prepared. Okay, thanks for this.